Maya stood outside the glowing glass doors of La Rochelle, one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city. She caught her reflection in the window, her carefully curled hair already loosening in the humid night, her thrift store navy dress a size too big at the shoulders. It wasn't the kind of place she belonged, and the knot in her stomach reminded her of it with every passing second. Her friends had insisted she come. "It'll be fun. He's rich, handsome, totally your type," they'd teased. But the way they'd exchanged sly glances told another story. Something inside Maya had whispered that she was walking into a trap, yet the desperate, quiet part of her, the part that was tired of always being the responsible sister, the reliable employee, the invisible woman, had wanted to believe them. Just once she wanted to be seen. She pushed the door open, the hum of conversation and clinking glasses washing over her. Every table was dressed with white linen, crystal glasses catching the golden glow of chandeliers. The scent of roasted lamb and expensive wine made her stomach twist tighter. And then she saw him. At the far corner table, a man rose from his chair. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. His movements were deliberate, elegant, but unpretentious. His dark hair was neatly combed, but his eyes, deep, watchful, and faintly tired, were what rooted her to the spot. "Are you Maya?" he asked, his voice low but warm. She nodded, her throat dry. For a moment she forgot to breathe. Whoever he was, he didn't look like someone who played games. He looked like someone who carried the world on his shoulders. And still, she couldn't shake the sting of doubt. Why would a man like him want to meet a woman like me? As Maya crossed the dining room toward him, the sharp, familiar sound of muffled laughter pricked her ears. She glanced to the left and her heart plummeted. At a booth half hidden by a potted plant sat 3 of her friends, the very same women who had sworn this blind date was her chance at happiness. Their wine glasses tilted precariously as they stifled giggles. One of them whispered far too loudly, "Oh my God, she actually came." The others dissolved into snickers, their eyes darting between Maya and the suited man waiting for her. Heat rushed up Maya's neck, flooding her cheeks. The floor seemed to tilt beneath her feet. Of course, it was all a setup, a joke at her expense. They hadn't arranged a date to help her. They'd orchestrated a scene to humiliate her. She slowed, clutching her purse strap so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Don't cry. Don't let them see you break." She considered spinning on her heel and running out before the laughter grew louder. But then the man at the table turned his head slightly. His eyes flicked toward the booth, narrowing at the poorly hidden mockery. For a brief second, Maya saw something change in his expression. Not confusion, not amusement, but recognition, like a man who had seen this cruelty before and despised it. When she reached the table, he didn't glance at her dress or hesitate at her flushed cheeks. Instead, he pulled her chair out with a respectful nod, his voice carrying just enough for the nearby tables and the booth of snickering women to hear. "Maya," he said firmly, with a sincerity that made her blink, "I'm glad you're here. I've been waiting for you." The laughter behind her faltered. Maya's chest tightened. For the first time that night, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, she wasn't the punchline after all. The waiter poured wine into their glasses, his movements smooth and practiced, but Maya could barely focus. Her pulse still thundered from the humiliation waiting to pounce from the corner booth. She could feel her so-called friend's eyes drilling into her back, waiting for her to trip over her words, waiting for him to laugh in her face and walk away. But instead of dismissing her, the man across from her leaned forward slightly, elbows resting on the table, his gaze steady and calm. "Tell me about yourself, Maya," she blinked. "About me?" People rarely asked. And when they did, they didn't usually mean it. But there was no mockery in his tone, only genuine curiosity. She hesitated, then began softly. "I work 2 jobs. Reception at a clinic during the day, and I waitress at night." Her fingers fidgeted with the edge of her napkin. "It's just me and my little sister. She's in high school, and I'm trying to make sure she doesn't go without." For a moment, she regretted saying so much. What kind of man in a suit like his wanted to hear about her struggles? But when she dared to look up, she found him watching her with something that looked alarmingly like respect. He nodded slowly, as though her words confirmed something he had already guessed. "That sounds like a lot to carry. You must be strong." Maya's lips parted, startled. "Strong?" People usually said burdened, pitiful, unlucky. Never strong. Across the restaurant, a stifled snort carried from the corner booth. One of her friends muttered, "Oh, he's good, making her think he cares." The man's jaw tightened, his expression hardening briefly before he turned his attention back to Maya. His voice was quieter now, meant only for her. "Ignore them. I promise you they're not worth your time." For the first time that evening, Maya felt the knots in her chest begin to loosen. By the time dessert was served, a shared plate of tiramisu she hadn't dared order, Maya found herself laughing softly at one of his stories about his daughter, a bright-eyed little girl who insisted on wearing cowboy boots with every dress. But the laughter from the corner booth returned, sharper now, cutting into her fragile sense of safety. She glanced over and saw her friends leaning forward eagerly, whispering with malicious delight. They were waiting for the moment this man would humiliate her, reveal it had all been a joke, and leave her shattered in front of them. Instead, he pushed his chair back. The sound of wood against marble echoed through the hushed dining room. Maya froze. He rose to his full height, every inch of him radiating authority, and then, without hesitation, he turned to her. "Maya," he said, his voice carrying clearly across the restaurant. "This may be sudden, but I know sincerity when I see it, and I know what my daughter needs in her life." His hand trembled only slightly, but his eyes never wavered. Someone kind, someone strong, someone who understands struggle and still chooses love. And before Maya could breathe, before her friends could so much as scoff, he lowered himself onto one knee. The entire restaurant gasped. Forks stilled, glasses froze mid-air. "Maya," he said again, his voice thick with something fierce and raw, "marry me." Behind her, her friends choked on their laughter, their smug smiles shattering into stunned silence. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. The room blurred with tears she hadn't expected. She didn't know if this was madness or fate or some miracle she didn't deserve, but she knew one thing for certain. For the first time in her life, someone wasn't laughing at her. Someone was choosing her,